everybody. Welcome to the Kim McVicker podcast. Today, my guest is.
I'm Gena B Jones. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Gina. So, Gina, you're a stand up comedian, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes. And you also work at the Improv, which is where I think you are right now.
Yeah, I came in a little early. I'll clock in an hour, but recording the pod in somebody's office.
Ooh, everybody, sneak peek in what the Improv office
It's
looks like.
very like sterile in here, like it looks like a hospital kind of, but
That's
I had
fun.
to make it work.
Perfect. Perfect. How long? When did you get into stand up? I guess.
Like 2018 is
Okay.
when I moved out to LA and I pretty much started immediately when I came out here. So
So
coming
you
up
started in
on
LA too. I started in LA. A
yeah.
lot of people say don't do that, and I also agree with them.
I
But
kind of agree too. I mean, technically, my first open mic was in Philadelphia because that's where I went to college.
Mhm.
But I did like a few open mics here and there, but I don't at all consider like me starting and really hitting the pavement until I came out here. But you're right, it's like really hard to start out here and it's very intimidating.
Yeah, I think positives to starting out in LA is that you get good fast because you're up
Hmm.
against people who are really talented. Versus if you start in a small
Hmm.
town, there's not going to be as many talented people. It's about the same
Hmm.
percentage of talent. Like I'd say 10 to 20% are always really good, but there's more people here. So you do get to see better people sooner. The negative is that there's so many talented people. So
Yeah, no, it can be kind of scary, and I'm sure, like, some people fall out really quick because they can't handle it or whatever, and, like, I just remember having some really rough nights those first, like, few months, first year, whatever, in comedy, and you're like,
what was
"Oh my
like
god."
the worst first year experience?
Um, I don't know if I can, like, think of anything specific, but I just remember, like, going to open mics and just being so bad and feeling like I was so bad, and especially, like, at some mics, like, I was specifically trying to go to places that, like, felt very low stakes, like, I would do spots with, like, 9 people watching, and, like, it's like when you can't, like, have a good set in front of, like, 9 people at a
You
whatever.
can't. So let's
Yeah.
okay. If you're like if it's a show with 9 people, you totally can. But an open mic, and it depends on which the open mic is. But
Mhm.
sometimes they are like 9 dudes who don't identify with anything you're talking about, right? So
Yeah.
there's also that of like you can't gauge your jokes accurately in
Mhm.
certain open mic situations in cities. Whereas why I think like smaller towns will always have a few real people, so it's a little bit easier, maybe.
Right, yeah, I remember a couple of the like, yeah, like, if it was, like, a slotted mic, those are, like, at this point, like, it's a toss-up, right? It's a coin toss, like, you can go up and do great, and, like, no one will laugh at you, but I remember early on, especially, like, even going to mics that were, like, supportive mics, and, like, most people were doing well, and I just, like, I couldn't hold I couldn't hold a set down, you know?
If it makes you feel any better, my first open mic was at IO West, which no longer is around in LA.
Oh, I miss that place. It was open for, like, a brief second when I got here.
Yeah, they had the open mic in the back room. They also had one upstairs, but I was in the back room. And my friend, she invited like the head of a network to my very first open mic. And so it was like 10 people, but like three of those people could control your career.
Right.
I had no idea what stand up was. At the
Mhm.
time, I was trying all forms of comedy. So I tried stand up,
Mhm.
and I think I told a story, but there was no setup or punchline. I remember it being about synchronized walking was the topic I was talking
Okay.
about. I was really passionate about it. And
Yeah. That's how most people's, like, first sets are, I think. It's, like, somewhat of a story, but like you said, with no setup or punch. It's like,
mhm.
let me just talk about something very vague that, like, sort of happened to me or I experienced. But yeah, wow, your friend invited that person. Well, at least they didn't invite, like, the booker of a comedy club,
Well,
because
here's what I learned from that night, which is a very thing that I think all comics need to know in
Mhm.
major cities. Is so there was other comics there who'd been in the scene for like 10 years and were jaded at this open mic. One of the guys didn't do well, and he
Mhm.
rubbed the head of the network guy, and that
Knowing
guy
it was him?
No, no, because 'cause they're not gonna stay in the audience, they just sat there
Right.
quietly. They were just there to support me, which was kind, but also
Mhm.
don't do that. Never do that to your friends. Wait
Never do
wait
that.
years before you invite somebody. And then they gave me really good advice on, like, have a setup and a punchline. You know the basics.
Really good advice of, like, maybe try being funny.
Yeah, 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 like, try the structure first, and then do what you
Mhm.
want. Learn the rules before you break the rules, I guess, is the
Yeah,
message.
that's the thing. I never took, like, stand-up classes because I feel like they're mostly, like, a scam, but that is one thing where I don't fault people when they move out here and they've, like, never done comedy and they take, like, one whatever, like, 8-week stand-up intro class. Because I think at the very least, like, it doesn't teach you how to be funny or, like, to have stage presence, but I think at the very least it gives you just a bit of a structure to just, like, at least bounce off of, like, here's how I'm
Jeselnik
gonna,
took
like
classes. He talks about it.
yeah.
So, like,
Who
there's
did?
big Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh, yes, okay, he did, yeah, I've heard
In the
about this,
very
yeah.
beginning, yeah, certain people do, and it depends on what you want. Like, I have taken classes, but I only would take them mostly to force myself to have a writing done by that week. Like, it's a deadline for
That's
me.
really good,
So
that's
it
really
depends on your
smart.
personality, you know what I mean? Like, because I
Mhm.
only came with new material every time in the very beginning, and it was like, yeah, this is what you do when you wanna build.
Yeah.
Um, but
Most, like,
yeah,
working comics even, like, can't even come up with new material once a week, like, that's a challenge, you know?
it
That
is,
can be
and
tough.
I think with the way the industry is moving with social media, you almost have to write more faster.
You do, yeah.
I have a hard time with that. How do you feel about social media with instant like
Yeah, I have a really hard time with it, mainly because well, a few things. One, I feel like a joke is never done.
mhm.
So I don't like putting it out on the internet because even though it's not permanent, like I have this weird thing in my mind where I feel like every time I post something online, it will be up forever and everyone's gonna remember it, which neither of those are true. Like I can obviously pull it down when I want and, people are half the time scrolling past it and not watching. But it feels very I don't like making something so it feels like a step to make the thing so permanent when I just so believe in, like, comedy's a live experience, and I almost don't like the idea of taping at all. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even like, even
I,
with specials, right? Like, if I was gonna watch someone's special, I'd much rather see it live because it
oh,
just
for
feels
sure.
like
Live
there's
is always
always
better.
something you miss, and so it almost feels like to me, like, you're almost doing a disservice by posting a joke online, but some people, it's the opposite. Some people, I almost feel like they translate even better on screen than in person.
That's fair
Um,
because they can cut out the lull.
right, or, like, it's
Yeah.
just something about, like, their look and their delivery really works on a camera, but so I'm like, I struggle with that, right? Like, I struggle with, like, placing a thing on a, like, kind of more permanent platform rather than, like, live experience, but I also just it's hard to keep up, and I I don't even though I'm, like, not a famous comic and no one's, like, tracking my jokes, like, I don't like the idea of just, like, burning material on the
That's why I like
internet.
specials for me. For me, special
Right.
means I'm done with that material. It's gone. It's out. Unless like sometimes when I'm on the road, if there's a crowd work moment that it like brings up an old joke, I'll do the
Mhm.
jokes because it fits.
Mhm.
But realistically, those jokes are done as soon as I tape them, which is why I tape as like my like
Yeah. You're
we're
setting
done with
deadlines for
these.
yourself. Yeah.
Mhm. But the internet part is the hard part for me because I like to say bad words, and I feel like you can't post anything
Yeah, like,
with
do you
bad words.
feel like when you post that kinda stuff, you get kind of, like, censored or you lose traction on a video?
So the only videos of mine that ever go good are ones that I think are the worst jokes in my hours. So it's always
I've
the
heard so
irony
many
of
people
it
say
that I'm like, it's like the shittiest jokes that go viral. So we're either
Mhm.
setting up the next generation of comedy fans to like bad comedy, or they're gonna be pleasantly surprised when they come to a live show. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Well, that's
it's that.
another really interesting point too. A comic who like I really respect, I don't want to like put him on blast. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
He was saying that he
He's
doesn't
like a piece.
like this whole it
Sorry,
kinda
I just
does.
realized this is like the spacing of this is like I'm
I
like
like how
moving
it's
it
the
just so it doesn't look.
first time
It
you've
just
realized
looks,
that.
but I don't think I've ever had it. Like
Like,
it's
so
so.
upright?
Do I have ADHD? Probably. Okay.
Probably.
Sorry. Go ahead. There's a gentleman who we'll find out later.
Yeah, he kinda called people out on Instagram because basically he had a show where he doesn't like posting clips, and he especially does not like posting crowd work clips. I think that's his main thing. He's like, "I'll post a joke here and there, but I don't like posting these, like, 'Oh my god, what happened?' moments with the crowd," because he said, he headlined a few shows, and there was a woman in the crowd, I think towards the very end, she wasn't even, like, heckling throughout, but, like, I think the show was about to end. Oh, and he launched into, like, his big closer, like, he had, like, a 7 or 8-minute long, like, big closing joke, and she just started, like, heckling, I guess, but, like, kind of out of nowhere, like, it wasn't like she was drunk and just didn't know any better, like, she truly just wanted
To be
attention,
in a clip.
basically.
Yeah, she thought she was
Yes.
supposed to. Yeah, there is a
Yeah,
generation
she
that is learning what clubs are.
no, 100%, and she just, like, realized, "Oh, the show's about to end, and I haven't been, like, in the spotlight yet, so let me just start, like, a dialogue with the comedian on stage," and he said, basically, "I couldn't finish my closing joke, and I just had to, like, make the ending of the show be about this woman, and it just I got really he was like, "I got really angry on stage, which I didn't mean to, but it just really frustrated me and this and that." And so basically, his conclusion, which I don't disagree with, he kinda posted on Instagram being like, "Comedians, can we stop, like, normalizing this whole, like, need to post, like, crazy audience members online?" Because what it's doing is it's training them to be the focus of the show, and for them to be, like, the wow factor when, like, it's you, the comedian, who should be the wow
I
factor.
I agree, and unless that's your brand, right? Like a Matt Rife.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Mhm,
that's why he's posting those. So to me,
mhm,
it's like if your shtick is crowd work, post a lot of it, and or if you want the crazy people, post it.
mhm,
Where I get gray liney, and I'm slowly changing my opinion on this because a lot of people are like, "You have to do it. You have to do it." I have yet to
mhm.
do it, but I'm working on the idea of it. Is having a camera on the audience. I
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
mental like issue with it because
I
I just am
feel
like,
so weird about it too.
what if they're in like the like the, anonymous whatever where they saw a crime and they're trying to like whatever that is like what if they're hiding from some terrible
Right, or
person.
even if it's not that, it's like usually in most situations you have to like consent to be filmed. Like you have to sign like a waiver, and I don't know like the details of it, but I keep having this fear that like a comedian's gonna get into some mega fucking lawsuit because they had a camera turned on the audience and they didn't know they were being filmed, and then it goes viral and the audience member is like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking sue you."
I've heard that, but I also heard that that law is different now because everyone's filming everything all the time.
Interesting. Okay,
So I
gotcha.
think we're about to get into a place where you can't be in the witness protection program.
Yeah.
You just have to get plastic surgery and don't cheat on your wife and go to a comedy club. Like that's
Okay, it's
basically
so funny you bring
don't
that
do it.
up because I just heard a hilarious story, from one of our employees. I think it happened at, one of the other improvs, like the Brea Improv or something, and it was on Valentine's Day, and I think Jared Freed was headlining, and this was before the show entirely, like, before the show even started. Um, a man and a woman broke out fighting because it was Valentine's Day, and this woman sat at a table in the front with her girlfriends. The man shows up, he's her husband with
No.
his side chick
Oh no.
sitting right next to them in the front row, and immediately it just got into like the two of them got into a massive fight, and I think they had to throw one or both of them out. Which if they threw the woman out, come on, what's up,
Y-
guys? Let
Yeah,
her have her
yeah.
night with her girlfriends.
Let her stew in it. Oh my gosh, that would. Well, both of them aren't going to pay attention anymore.
Right, that's the thing, and you're both so heated. But isn't that wild?
Yeah, that
Like the nerve to first of all, to do it on Valentine's Day. Second of all, like Do you not think that, like, because if I were cheating, like, on my wife, I would probably ask her, like, "Oh, honey, what are you doing
But
tonight?
he's
It's
cheating on his
Valentine's
wife.
Day."
He's not attentive. Like
Right.
somebody who's cheating is not like the type of person, male or female, to be like, "Hey babe, what are you doing tonight? I'm going out with my girls." Great.
Yeah.
Like they're not like where. Which
Mhm.
if you want to be a good cheater sounds like you need to do that.
Mhm.
Okay. These
Yeah.
are how to this is how to be a good cheater, everybody. Be
Right. I
more
think women
attentive.
when women do cheat, they're probably better cheaters because women are, like, very detail
Yeah.
oriented.
Yeah.
And they're probably like, "Where are you gonna be? What's he gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna hide my text messages." Like, guys are just
I
like
could never. I would be There's no way that I could cheat on anybody in my entire life. It would freak me
like,
out.
even if you wanted to, you'd probably be so, like, paranoid and just, like
It's the
I would get
after.
really
Like in the
anxious. Yeah.
moment I understand maybe, but like I couldn't do that like when you see the person again. I'd want to throw up.
Yeah. That's really funny. You would just, like, vomit every time you're seeing your husband. He's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah,
You're like,
like I could
"No, don't look at
totally,
me."
and in my 20s I definitely did this. I could totally like break up with a guy and then turn around and date somebody else within the next hour. That I could do.
Mhm.
But I have to do the like we're done. Hi.
Right.
Like I could do that. I can get over things
Yeah.
fast, but I can't overlap. Yeah, that would stress me out.
Mhm.
Have you ever
I
dated more
think
than
I'm
one
the
guy at
same.
a time?
Mm-mm. Not
That's
even.
stressful.
I've never really, like, dated because 'cause I've been mostly in long-term relationships, and then, like, I've been with my current guy for, like, 8 years and
Dang. And you're how
haven't
old?
cheated yet.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Um,
But if she
I'm
does, she's gonna know
28.
how. So
I'm
that's a
28, we met in college.
dang. And you
Yeah,
both
we
moved to LA?
He was a year older than me in school, and he graduated and moved out here first, because he's a writer, so he moved out here to be a writer, and then I had another year in school. We were long distance for 1 year, and then I moved out.
What did you plan on being a comic when you moved out? Like was that the goal?
Sort of, yeah. Well, I also plan on being a writer, which I'm
Mhm.
still, like, sort of trying to do, and so it was obviously either LA or New York, but honestly, for writing, it's, like, more LA, and he was here, and I was like, "I can do stand-up in LA," so that's how it happened.
How did you decide to work at the Improv or I don't know how I almost said audition. I don't know how jobs work. Uh I'm the worst. I don't even own a resume. I don't know how I would do that. I would chat GPT it now, but I would be like,
Nice, yeah, that's so true. I haven't had to, like, rebuild a resume since that became a thing, and you're right, that would totally help. Um, I no, so they don't make you, like, audition here. If you wanna do spots here, like, you actually audition after you become an employee, so, um, I
that's
just
good to know. So
started
if you're moving to LA, the way for the Improv, you would do a regular job application to be a regular employee of
mhm,
whatever thing.
yeah,
Then they have their employee show
mhm.
where
Every,
people get
like, 4 or 5 months, they do it, and you can audition, yeah. So, I started in yeah, like, right close to when I moved out here, like, 2018, and I needed a second job, and I just applied to work, like, in their box office, and then I interviewed and got the job, and then they didn't have they actually didn't have I think when I first started here, they didn't have even, like, a program to, like, get employees up,
Mhm.
uh, so I was kinda just working here for a while, but they were kinda talking about wanting to do it, and then eventually, like, a few months in, they held auditions, and, like, I auditioned once first and then didn't get it, and then I re-auditioned, like,
Can we talk
4
about
months
this?
later.
Okay,
Mhm.
comics who are listening.
Comics.
If you work at a club and you audition, and this is not just for the Improv, most clubs do have this kind of thing
Mhm,
where you either get hired because you're it's one or the other. A lot of comedy clubs
mhm,
have comics because it's a great job to have as a comic. You get to see amazing talent, you'll learn a lot. But if you audition,
mhm.
maybe take work off on the day you find out if you got passed. Because the amount of people
Oh,
who are in such a mood when they don't get passed, and this is the same thing with if you're a comic and you don't work at a place and you don't get the job. Um,
this is so funny. Are you saying this as, like, a patron of, like, the Improv,
yeah,
the
as just
store
a
when
person who walks in and
you show
everyone's
up like,
so pissed off.
"Hey, "I'd like a Bud Light, please," and everyone's like, "Rah!"
First of all,
and you
I would
can
never get a Bud Light,
feel
but yeah.
yeah, never.
But
I don't
yes,
know why I
yes,
said that.
100%. People are so pissed, and they just wanna
Mhm.
tell you why they think they should have gotten past. And it's just
And
like, "Well,
you're
I
like,
just came here to
"Guys."
have a drink. Like, I just came here to hang." I don't know if you know, but I like, the Improv is my favorite place to just hang.
Hang out. Yeah, you are
'Cause
here
it
a
is such
lot.
a chill. Don't say that, it's so sad.
Didn't mean to sound
She's
so
there a lot. Yeah, when I'm not on the road, I'll go. And I love it, and I think it's, like, a cool place to sit, especially the lab is my favorite room to just chill
yeah,
in because they have a bar so you can watch comedy, but also
you can be
dur
hidden.
yeah, exactly. So you don't have to, like, "Ha, ha, ha," because 'cause I'm not a great laugher.
Mhm.
So I try to sit in the back as much as possible. But yeah, it's fun to watch people not get past and then get really moody about it. And I think it
Right.
is just, like, don't expect to get past on round 1, even if you're amazing.
Round 1 or 2 or even 3, just because like, the only reason I say that is because I know so many people for whom it took multiple tries, you know? And it's like, it's
Yeah.
not just about working at a club, like, that applies to other things too, like auditions, like a JFL audition or an
Mhm,
audition
and
for,
it's not
like,
just
an
about if you're
acting
funny
role.
in that moment. You might have had one good
Mhm.
set, but it's a matter of, like, this applies to every job, I think. Like, your work ethic as an employee probably plays
Yeah.
a large part in it, and as much as you would think it would just be about your talent, in any job, loyalty and like consistency are very, very
Mhm.
important. I think that's also like just as comedy in general, consistent funny versus sometimes they're amazing, sometimes they're hammered. I don't know
Yeah,
which one I'm going to get will not get you the job because
that's so true. That's so true about, like, the open mics too, right? Like, it's not about just, like, killing it 1 week or whatever. It's about, like, how often are you showing up and are you at least above average every time you get up, and, like, are you getting better and that kind of thing.
yeah, and not doing the same joke all the time.
Yeah. Totally. My thing is, like, if I don't have anything new, I just don't
Don't go. Just
go.
don't go. Just don't
Like,
go.
that's always an
And if you
option, you
find
guys.
yourself not going for a long time, then there's your lesson. You didn't write a new joke. You need to go write a new
Mhm.
joke. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. It's such a fun.
Writing's writing's so much, like, a part of it, and it's hard. It's hard to be disciplined. I kinda write in, like, spurts. I don't know about you. Like, I'm very bad at being consistent, but I feel like I'll go sometimes months without writing something new, and then I'll hit, like, the biggest wall I've ever hit, and I start to hate myself, and I start to spiral, and then I'll just, like, dump out a bunch of brand new stuff, and it just comes out really easily.
Yeah, I have a notes app where I write down ideas in my phone
Mhm.
and then I'll go through it. Like last night I was going through a bunch of them and I saw all these ones that I started like months ago and just left. And I was like, this is like 80% done. Why am I not finishing this? Like it's like there. And so I'm like, oh, I'll do these. Like, why am I not doing these?
That's also a really, like, kinda satisfying thing too, and, like, something I've been doing a lot, more often because when I'm feeling stuck when you feel stuck, like, an option you have is, like, you can pull up a joke that either you had from, like, years ago that, like, never quite worked, or yeah, like, a half-baked joke that isn't quite finished. Like, something that you have, like, a start to, it's not
Hmm.
completely
It's
brand
not out of
new.
nowhere. Yeah.
Right, and you just have to, like, finish it or polish it up, like, that I love doing that. It almost feels easier because you go back to something that you completely forgot about, and then you have, like, more perspective or more, like, really
And you're
just
more
skill.
talented. Obviously, you're getting better
Yeah.
every time. Like currently, I'm doing this Puff Daddy joke, but it's purely because he's in the media. That's like one of
Mhm.
the first jokes I ever wrote over 10 years ago. To the
Oh,
point where
nice.
Vita 10 years ago told me to stop doing it. And then, like, no joke. She was like, no more dance jokes, no more dance jokes. And I was like, no problem,
Okay.
more than dance, whatever. Then he gets in trouble, and I'm like, oh, we're
Oh,
bringing it back.
you gotta.
Yeah, and I've obviously changed it, but it
Right,
was
and
basically there.
that's also good too because unlike a lot of other kind of current events jokes, like, if something, like, happens in the news, I usually just, like, tweet about it instead of writing a whole bit about it because 'cause I'm like, "Well, I could workshop a bit about this, but I probably can't say it in 3 weeks, so, like, maybe don't waste your time, but the cool thing about the P. Diddy one is, like, I think that's gonna be going on for a long time, like
Well, and most political, I don't do politics, but that's just because I'm an idiot. But like people who do politics, like John Conroy or things like that, they write them all the time, but then they come back. The same problems come back, right? Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
look at the
yeah.
world today, 10 years ago, there was similar issues, but different. Uh, and so
Mhm.
like you can basically take an old joke, change the name, and then pivot it to be more topical if you need.
Right. Like, make it general enough that you can kind of that it becomes a little evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
What
I
kind
don't
of
really do
writer?
political stuff either, like you.
No, I always feel like I don't know enough and I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah.
I never want to get yelled at. That's like my biggest fear is getting yelled
Well, that's the other thing about online, right? Like, when we were talking about social media, like, that's another part of it I just can't stomach. Like, I can't stomach comments coming in, and, like, of course, like,
at. I'm pulling
usually the
this up because we're
more
talking about it. Go ahead.
controversial or divisive or inflammatory your video is, the more likely it is that it'll get more comments and it'll go usually more viral, and I'm over that. Like,
Okay, so here is a video of my so I do really well on Facebook right now, which is like
oh yeah, you were telling me that, yeah.
thanks, but it's Facebook.
Well,
This woman,
I actually heard that Facebook, the monetization is better than Instagram. Is that true? Like, I think a comic told me that, like, if you get 1,000,000 views on a video, they pay you, like, $500 or something. I don't know.
I don't know, I get the money, but I don't even look at it. But
Yeah.
for me, Facebook is cool in that it's usually typically an older audience, and those people will come to shows
Mhm.
because they can afford it. Versus like TikTok is
Yeah.
under
Oh my god,
21 and they
real.
can't come to a show, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
thank you for being a future audience member, but currently
Mhm.
I can't do anything with you. So
Yeah.
like I'm pro that, but the internet is so mean where this woman literally wrote, she fell off the ugly tree and hit every limb, branch, and leaf on her way down. I'm sorry, mama. That's what she wrote me.
Come on.
and,
Oh,
and I don't care. Like, I'm a comic, so I expect that. I will say if I got bombarded with it, eventually I'd probably be like, what should I
you'd
change?
probably shut down, yeah.
But like, you know, when people talk about your looks, I'm always I'm always surprised because I'm not into modeling. You know what I mean? Like if I was in modeling, I
Right.
would understand that. But like
But
for I'm totally for people commenting like where's the joke? This isn't funny, like those kinds of
uh-huh.
things cuz that's their opinion on the comedy. But when it
Well, that's
has
what I was gonna
nothing to
say.
do with it, it's so weird.
Yeah. You almost, like, you almost can't get too mad at that because at least it's like they're not coming after you for a thing that is your craft and your passion and the thing that you're working so hardly to do, you know?
And honestly,
But
those people who hate like that, thank you so much because you're the reason those videos go viral. Because what happens
mhm.
is when somebody says, this girl isn't funny or cute,
Someone
either or,
replies.
somebody freaks out. And then there's this
Yeah.
little fight about all of this stuff. And then that's what makes the algorithm love you, which is the suckiest
Yeah.
part about the algorithm is that it's like
It's
hate
the
that makes things
suckiest thing.
go well.
Yeah.
I, I don't,
I
I don't,
agree.
I don't like that. I wish
I
it
don't
was
like it
like, this
either.
video made me feel okay.
Yeah, I think, like, in an ideal world, if I were really disciplined about posting clips, it would be like I would not wanna post my jokes because I don't wanna burn them, and like I said before, like, they'd never feel fully finished. But I respect comics who, like, kind of only post crowd work stuff, but it might not even be, like, that kinda shock value, like,
I
crazy heckler. It might just be, like, a fun, like, conversation you had with someone in the front row, and then you never post your jokes, and, like, you get enough views off of your crowd work clips that you're like, "Okay, now come see me on tour to, like, see my full thing," and I think that works.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't
that
like
much
it
of a
when
crowd
people are
worker.
crowd work mean. I don't like mean crowd work in
I don't
general.
like that either.
Everyone's spending $100 to watch you. And that's like something
Yeah.
comics need to remember. Even if it's a $10 ticket, they still have to buy 2 drinks.
Spent
There's two people.
money.
It's like at
Yeah.
least $100. So they didn't come to the show to feel like an asshole. They didn't come to the show. They came to get out of their life for an hour or 90 minutes or whatever. So
Mhm.
why
Especially because
don't
most of the time they didn't. It's like they didn't do anything wrong. They're just sitting there, and I hate, like, picking on someone, starting an unnecessary fight for no reason. It just feels like, why?
because they want to go viral.
Mhm.
It's a weird training thing that we have going on right now. It'll
Yeah.
get sorted out, hopefully. Did you always want to be a comic, or did you like when you went to college? Did you want to be something else?
I didn't know I wanted to do comedy at all until, like, my sophomore or junior year because I one of my, like, extracurriculars at college was I was in a sketch group, and I
Mm.
kinda just joined on a whim, and I joined on a whim because in high school I did theater, and I was like,
Where did you
"Okay,"
grow
like,
up?
DC.
Okay.
Mhm. So, like, I went to a big public high school, and we did, like twice a year, we did, like, a big musical or play, and it was, like, fun. It was always really fun. I never took it that seriously, and I was never, like, a star or whatever, but I was like, "This is so fun," and so then when I got to college, I was like, "Okay, I should probably do something with my free time," and the theater groups were, like, to be honest, pretty fucking cringe, like,
Okay.
I actually my theater program in, high school was, like, weirdly not cringe, like, a lot of cool people were in it, and everyone was really fun, and, like, no one took it too seriously. So then when I got to college, I was like, "Okay, what can I do?" And the sketch group was actually all women. It was an all-female sketch group, which was super fun.
Hmm.
And the thing is we had to write and perform. So I learned how to, like, write with them. I'd performed before, but it was, like, really fun, like, only performing comedy and stuff. And I just got really close with, like, my sketch group, and, like, a lot of people in that group ended up pursuing, like, comedy in some capacity as a career. Like, there's, like, actors, writers,
That's
directors, and
cool.
stuff. So, yeah, it was, like, a nice really
Would
nice,
you
like,
ever do
community.
acting?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I have a good amount of it under my belt. I mean, I do I do audition for commercials when when I
I
get
do it all.
a request.
I love it.
Um, yeah, I would. I would assume, like, I'm not gonna, like, be one of those people that comes out to LA and it's, like, only it's, like, audition, audition, audition. But, it's, like, nice because a lot of stand-ups, like, once they get, like, enough of a platform in stand-up, they just get cast in, like, small roles here and there. Just do a part, a funny part.
Yeah. That's
Um,
why
yeah.
I would do it for like a fun thing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you
So,
only do stand up and work at the improv, right? Or do you have any other jobs? I feel like LA is
I
so expensive. I'm
it's
like,
so expensive. No, I mean, as far as, like, an income, like, that's pretty much all I do. Like, I work
congratulations.
here.
That's amazing. No, it's amazing
Yeah.
because you live alone too. So, well, I shouldn't have said that on the
Mhm.
air.
I
That's
do
great.
live alone. Come and find
Yikes.
me.
Oh no.
I got my studio apartment on a really good deal during COVID when, like, no one was getting apartments, and it's
Mm.
rent controlled, so I'm
Stays
set for a
forever.
while. Yeah, so just the improv. And one thing I am trying to do, though, like, one of my kind of resolutions for this year is, like, I really wanna focus a lot more on, like, which gigs I take, uh, for stand-up and how well they're going to pay, because for so long, I just felt like it was so willy-nilly, and I would just do
Anything and
any
everything.
spot whenever. And I'm not saying, like, I'll never do, like, an unpaid show, but
It has
I'm
to be close.
really yeah, exactly.
It
And it's
has
like
to
it
be.
has to be close, and my thing too is, like, okay, if the show's not gonna pay, go there and, like, only workshop new shit.
I do that.
That's the
That's
thing I've been
exactly
doing.
what they're for. Yeah, it should be that.
No
100%.
money? Okay, here I'm gonna read off my notes and try something that I've never tried before, because now it's an open mic almost, right?
Yeah, I do the
Mhm.
same thing unless if I get to the show and I'm not first and I'm later and everybody is tanking. And then I just feel
Yeah.
bad for the audience. So
You
I'm like,
feel
okay,
like
okay, okay. I'll do
a
something new.
duty to resurrect the
Hmm.
room.
Hmm. But that's the only time. Otherwise, I mean, I almost always do new stuff in general until I tape.
Mhm.
It's just like what I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, so
like
I'm like,
doing new stuff is my favorite part because I get
it
so
is.
nervous. I get so nervous to try something new.
Uh-huh.
Uh, that it
Nervous, but
like
also excited.
yeah, like I'm always like even at the improv, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this. I don't know how people are gonna like it. It's like fun
Mhm.
for me. Yeah.
Right, because even, like, it's also fun because, like, in a sense, the pressure's off because there's no expectation for it being good, and then if you get, like, 2 good laughs, you're like, "Oh my god, that's amazing.
My
I won."
my
Yeah.
penis mic just fell over, everybody.
Oh, no.
Sorry for those who are just listening. Basically, what was happening is I have a nice microphone, I guess, and it's
A
just like
very
a really
phallic
long. Yeah,
object.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Great girth. Great shape. It's a lot. It's a lot. If
She
you
said,
couldn't
"Girth."
do comedy, what would you do?
Oh my
And not
god, that's
writing,
a
because I feel like
great
that's
question.
comedy, even though writing is like different.
No, it's 100% comedy,
It's
yeah.
adjacent. Yeah.
I think, to be honest, like, I'm really good at just, like I'm really good at being an assistant and doing, like, administrative stuff,
Hmm.
and so if I, like, couldn't make it in a creative field, I would get a job that is just 9 to 5, clock in and out, like, low stress, low workload, like, a very basic administrative job where I could
Just
just,
like,
like, be the office personality, talk to everyone, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like a front desk or something,
hmm,
and just easy peasy, don't have to take
you're
meetings,
done
sit
as
at
soon
a
as you're
computer.
done. You don't think about it all day
Yep,
long. That's
I think I would
cool.
do something like that.
Yeah,
Most people
I
are like,
agree.
"That would drive me crazy," but I'm pretty introverted, so, like, during the day, like, I don't know, I can sit at a desk and just chill and have, like, headphones in and
I
vibe.
would love to do taxes, I think. I think that's what I would want to do.
Really?
Yeah, I like watching numbers. Or like before when I was a little kid, the number one thing I wanted to be growing up was on the stock market floor.
Oh my god, do
Because
they
I
still
just
is
like
that still a
numbers.
thing? Because
I
like, so
don't think
much of
it's
it
like
is
what I was
digitized
when I was
now.
little. Like you could see them like yelling and shouting
Picking up
numbers.
the phone, yeah.
Yeah, I would like
Wait, so when
that.
you say taxes, do you mean like someone's accountant?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's a few comics who are accountants, by the way.
I am not. I
Who
just like doing taxes.
Mhm.
Like I like doing mine.
You like
Um,
putting your, what's it called, W-2 in
it brings
in
me
the
so
website.
much joy, and I have so many things because of comedy that I get taxes from like 80 states. Well, not 80 because there's not that many. But like,
Right.
so then it's like, oh, okay, I got to do taxes in all these places. And then there's the
Yeah.
Venmo now and cash, and like I claim it all because I think
Mhm.
it's like I like to be accurate with how much I actually made so that I know how
Mhm.
much I actually made. You know what I mean?
I see. So you
For
pay
me.
you pay taxes on, like, when someone Venmos you for money. Wow, you're such a good Samaritan.
Well, I'm
I
also an
don't think
immigrant and I don't want to get
anyone
kicked out. Don't kick me out. So,
Right.
well, in the
I don't
Venmo
think
thing now
anyone
they
does
can
that.
see it. They can find it.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Not that there's any tax people left in the government. No, I'm
Mm,
kidding. Look at me getting political. Okay.
exactly. See,
I don't
you
know if
do
it's
know
true.
things. You
Yeah,
do
I don't
follow the
know. I
news.
know it, but I only know it because of comics telling jokes about it. Like that's how I
True.
find out about things when people are like, "You
Mhm.
didn't know that?" I'm like, "Well, I only know it from this guy's bit." But
Yeah,
I
I
hope
guess
that's
for
right.
me, it's like it's a little similar, like, I don't go to, like, news websites, like, I don't go to CNN.com or I don't, like, whatever, some people, like, subscribe to those kinds of websites, but I get, like, most of my news from Twitter, but, like, on Twitter, I follow, like, mostly comedians or funny people, and so I'm learning about things, but it's through, like, a secondhand,
But
like
that's how
like a
everyone's getting it
meme, yeah,
nowadays anyway.
exactly.
That's how everyone's getting
Mhm.
it. So you're not wrong. I got rid of Twitter when it became X. I think I got it back now. Not
Mhm.
because I was against it becoming X, but
Mhm.
because I just looked in my phone and the app said X and I didn't know that it had changed because I didn't pay attention
Mm.
to the news.
Did you think
And
it
so
did you
I
think
had
it
a
was
panic that
pornography?
somebody put an app on my phone and they were like I thought it was like somebody stealing all my data, so I deleted it
Yeah.
immediately and then later found out like 3 days later everyone was like that was Twitter and I was like okay.
A lot of people thought it was pornography because
That's
the name
fair.
X is just why.
And apparently you can see porn on it now.
Yeah, don't get it back. I would say, like, if you were locked in and you still had it, you could keep it, but it's a bit of a it's an addiction for me, and it's a bit of a cesspool, so I wouldn't say, like, "Get on it," and, like, so many people are leaving it anyway, so, like, I don't know, it'll probably be dead.
I'm just a
in
bad
not that
speller,
long.
so I don't feel like that's my best avenue to get people to come watch me.
Oh yeah,
Like,
wait, I saw
because
you
grammatically,
do
I'd
a
be the
bit about
worst.
this.
That's one of the new ones right now, but it's just
Mhm.
truthful. I'm just a terrible, like, there's no like, the reality is I suck.
Mhm.
I actually had to do like hooked on phonics growing up. I had to
Oh,
do
what is that?
like, it's like, it was like basically like the Duolingo for people who couldn't read back in the
Okay.
day. My mom tried
Mhm.
everything to make me a decent reader.
And
No,
are you
like,
not like dyslexic or anything?
yeah. So I don't know what I would be by today's standards, but when I was in school, I got taken out of class to be with special needs kids,
Okay.
and like fully like full special needs kids. Like I used to be like, why am I in here? 'Cause it was like um very special. So
Uh,
I was just always like, I just can't read. But yeah, for whatever letters. I'm dyslexic is definitely one of the things that I got flagged for. I got extra time on my SATs, but I still had a
mhm.
great SAT score. I had like a 1350 or something stupid for
No
French
way.
at
That's
when I was
awesome.
18. Yeah, like I'm not an idiot. I just don't I just
It's
letters are bad. And I have
You think
glasses
it's
that I'm
like a
supposed to
memory
wear.
thing?
Letters flip on me. Like if I'm looking at them, they'll physically move while I'm reading them.
Right. That's
And I don't
kind
know
of
if that's
dyslexic.
anxiety of reading, but I'm like, whoa,
Mm.
why did you move where you were at? Like it's like almost like someone who does drugs without doing drugs. Like things are moving on you.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a good speller, but I'm a bad reader. Like I have kind of similar like the anxiety from it. Like when I pull up to read it, like I don't really read books, but when I do, I just feel like I read so slowly and I'll read a few lines and then not register what just happened and then I have to go back and that was like a big struggle for me on the SATs was in the reading section. Like you have to be really good at like reading it fast. Like you have to know how to skim and kind of glimmer the concept from what you just read, and I would read so slowly and, like, still be confused, and, like, I still struggle
I
with that.
didn't care about the SATs because it was the year I moved to America. And I was like, what is this? And they were like, it's a test that doesn't count. And I was like, oh, well, then who
Yeah.
cares? So I had no anxiety when I took it. And then also, I knew I wasn't going to college. I was going on tour right after I
Mhm.
graduated, like for a dance show. So I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I went right into, I left my senior year early to go on tour.
Mhm.
So it was like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah.
I'm jealous because I was like yeah, that was one of the most anxiety-ridden periods of my life was, like, the college testing and just I could never I just
The,
I could never nail it. I was so nervous.
did you have regents where you grow up, which is like that standardized test in certain topics?
Mm-mm, no.
When I
But we
moved,
had, like, AP tests on different subjects and stuff.
that's because you're smart.
I did take
AP's the
AP
smart
classes,
people.
yeah, but I did not do well on a lot of the tests.
Do you have a joke about that? There's something about being the dumbest smart person that's really funny.
Oh, that's
like
fun.
I was in
I
AP, but
never
I was
thought
like
about
the
that.
dumb AP kid. Like I was the kid in like in the back of the bus of the AP, the cool kid
Yeah,
of the AP.
wow.
Like there was
Yeah,
something
I
so
took
funny about that.
the biggest struggle for me was AP chemistry, like, just like you with, like, letters and stuff, like, I truly tried so hard. I studied so hard. I went out of my way to, like, really make sure I could pass the test. Like, I did everything, study books, whatever, and I took the AP test and they're graded out of 5, so 3 and above is a pass, and I got a 2 after I
Jeez.
truly gave every part of me for that.
That was
But
the
it's just like
American history test for me. I had to take the history regents,
mhm,
and I had never had American history in my life.
that's
And so all I
tough.
did was read the textbook. And then I had like, do you know the movie Clueless?
Yeah.
I had like a Clueless moment because the one of the questions I got wrong, which made me kind of fail, but I ended up getting a B, was like the question that was worth the most points was about the War of 1812. And I said Canada
Mm.
won. And then I got it wrong because they said, no, you
Yeah.
didn't. And then I brought
Oh.
my Canadian textbook to the teacher and was like, no, 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 no. History is like stuffing, where it's like my mom's is better. Like it's subjective.
Oh my
And
god,
then they
did your
had to
book
give it to
say
me. Yeah, Canada says we
that's
won. Canada
crazy. Oh
calls it
my
a
god,
war.
that's awesome.
So it is very different when you learn history from any country. It's from
Absolutely.
their
They
perspective.
they warp however they wanna warp things and
So as much as you guys like for both sides, like everyone does things bad, but yeah.
mhm.
Everybody
That's
they call it a
hilarious.
conflict in America, but it's
Mhm.
called the War of 1812.
Mhm.
That makes no sense to me, but
Right.
it's the only question I got right in the end because I was like,
That's
I've
hilarious.
learned this for my whole life. This is the one I
Yeah.
know because we don't get in that many wars in Canada.
You really don't.
So
Like,
like I
so
was like, I
rarely.
got this. Like, yeah.
I always forget you're Canadian.
Yeah, we used to learn you're making me think of all these things. But like I don't like in grade school, like elementary school, our history we learned about like natives and stuff like that. Not that Canada
Mhm.
hasn't gotten in trouble for it. Trust me, I know. But we
Yeah,
would learn
recent
like
stuff.
how to build igloos and
No
like how
way.
to take soap and make little figurines out of them. Like that's what I did in school as
So
homework and
you
stuff.
didn't build actual igloos, you built,
I
like,
did in my
miniature
backyard.
version. You
No,
did?
no, no, we did. Yeah. We would do it every winter. We had like a dad in our street that would help the cutout of it, but like I physically know how to make one if I
Oh my
had to.
god. That's actually it's so funny because that's definitely more of a practical skill than probably 99% of what they teach you in school. Like, we were talking about taxes, like, they don't teach you how to file your taxes in
I
school.
took
They don't
business
teach you how
math.
to.
That was the best class I ever took. Business
Oh,
math.
yeah? They taught you that?
Uh-huh. I love that. That I took in America. Um I think it just
I don't.
depends on what your school you go to. I went to like a
Yeah.
private school at when I moved to America. Not in
Okay.
Canada. And then like other skills, like I think Canada's gym classes are better than America's.
Mm.
Like we did like rock climbing and bow and arrow and stuff. Like I think that's cooler than dodgeball all the time. I like dodgeball, but
Right, because it
not all the
feels like
time.
a bit more of a skill, like, if push comes to shove, you can climb a rock.
Yeah, and skiing, we did skiing, stuff like that. Like
Yeah. Oh, I
swimming.
love that.
By the time
Yeah, that's
you
a skill.
finished 8th grade, you could technically be a lifeguard if you did it all the way up and you passed every year. So like you get a job by the time you got to high school.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a really bad swimmer, and I guess it's not too late for me to learn, but oh boy. Do
But
not
you could
drop me
float if
into
you
the
got
ocean.
pushed. You would freak.
It's not that bad, but I don't think I'd be able to last very long.
Just lay on your back, I guess, and hope to
Yeah.
float. That's tough. Have you ever been? Well, you just went to Egypt.
Mhm. It
How
was
was
so
that?
fun. Oh, it was amazing. Very, very different, just, like, your sense of perspective just completely changes. Everything's super cheap there, buying food is, like, a couple bucks. Um, Obviously, there's, like, it's very overpopulated there, like, just completely different, like, way of life and lifestyle, but it was really, like, eye-opening, and obviously the history of it is incredible, and people are really nice, and we went with a tour guide who is, like, Egyptian American, and so he could really show us around.
Did he try to
But
take you to like weird places afterwards to get like perfume and stuff?
there were a few, like, kinda
They
gift
do that.
shoppy places that didn't didn't seem, like, super scammy or touristy at first, but
But then they
the
have
more
your
I
friend
think
hook up.
about it, yeah, the more I think about it, you're kind of like, "Okay," you're looking around and there's only tourists in there, and they're, like, some of them are nice stores, like, we went to a cotton store, it's, like, Egyptian cotton, like, that's legit, but, you know, like, there was, like, a pair of pants for, like, 80 bucks or something, and I'm like, "I know there's no Egyptian in this city paying $80 for cotton pants." Like, they're just gouging, like, tourists, basically.
Oh, for
But
sure.
at least it was, like, sort of part of the experience. Like, there were some cool stores, right? Like, we went to, like, a papyrus gallery and, like, to get, like, local stuff, but totally see what you're saying. It's, like, a little bit I don't
And
know.
I'm not against it. Like I we do it in Hollywood. It's the same
Right,
thing.
let them make their money off of
Yeah. It's
us
all the
American
same.
idiots.
It's all the same. Well, that's really
Mhm.
cool. Is there anything that like advice wise that if there's a new comic moving to LA that you would recommend them do or don't do?
Yeah,
Like
I would
general
definitely
advice.
say if you're just starting out and you're trying to get on stage and you're trying to start writing and coming up with, like, your first kind of material, like, try and write stuff that you know and that is very personal to you, and don't try and do very kind of like blanket observational comedy because I think that's a very easy way to sound really hacky early on because if you're just commenting about a topic and
I smoke
you're trying to
weed. Haha,
form
traffic
yeah,
sucks in LA. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are
exactly,
topics
and you're
don't sell.
trying to come up with, like, your point of view on it, you probably don't have that point of view quite yet. So instead, like, I would advise, like, just maybe, like, talk about something that happened to you, talk about your family, talk about
Well,
your
and you can't be
upbringing,
told that you stole the bit if it's
and
true.
that,
Like,
100%.
if it's your story,
Yeah,
you can't have stole it. Do you have any
yeah.
advice for somebody who, because you work at the improv, so I think that's like
Mhm,
unusual to have a guest here that does that. And only, I don't know if you're not allowed to say something, don't say it. But like if there's a comic who is a good comic in their town
mhm.
and is now moving to LA because they headline wherever they are or feature wherever they are, but they're
Mhm.
moving to LA, how would they, start reaching out to like get spots at the improv? Like what should they do?
It depends what level you're at. If you're someone who maybe is, like, really seasoned, but you don't have, like, a TV credit or, like, an
Basically,
agent or
can
a
you fill the
manager.
seats? I think is what you're trying to say, right? Like, can you
Yeah,
fill 250 seats or not? Is that
right.
the realistic thing?
Well, I think it's less about selling tickets and just more about how established you are. Like we kind of call it like street credit, right? Like, do other comics at a professional level know who you are? If the answer is not quite, but I've been doing this 10, 12 years and I've headlined and so on, I would say the open mic is a great option just because it's really good to get seen by our bookers, which who are there most days. But I think if you're slightly above that, like if you have a TV credit or multiple and you have like a rep who can reach out for you, that also really works. Especially, yeah, like I said, if you're established enough that you have enough credits that a booker can like look at you and be like, oh, yeah, you're a pro, you're established, like people know who you are. Having your rep does help. It helps you like feel it helps like the club see that there's like a sense of like legitimacy.
Fair, very fair. That's good
And they
advice for
will
anybody.
watch your tape, like at least some of it. They don't watch tapes if you're like no one with no kind of anything, but if someone submits you and you have like
That's great.
some kind of cred, like they'll watch you, yeah.
I'll say like one of the best parts about, because I was talking to a comic about New York versus LA last week,
Mhm.
and the biggest part I'd say is that there is the bookers at the open mic. So like
Mhm.
Tuesday and Wednesday, you're gonna have the bookers not just of the Hollywood Improv, but also the bookers of all the improvs for the most part,
Mhm.
at one or the other. So
Yeah.
if you are an established comic and you've done an hour, you have a bunch of 3-minute bits that you can utilize.
100%.
So you can come in for like 2 months and just destroy. And then they'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, this person should open for whoever you fit with.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess the last thing I'll say too is like there's so many ways to like attack this business. There's so many ways to like make your way as a comic. Like just do the things that like make you feel good and make you feel happy. Like if you don't feel good going to like an open mic once a week in front of bookers, then don't do that. Like go somewhere else or workshop your stuff another way. Or if you're just getting tired of it, like mix it up, do something different. If it gives you anxiety to like send cold emails, like don't do that either. Like just like push yourself and obviously the most important thing is to work on your craft, but like if you if people are telling you you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this and you're like it doesn't make me feel good to do that kind of stuff, just find another way and like if you get good, like you'll be undeniable, you know?
Yeah, because there's many ways to do it. I
Mhm.
definitely am one of those people who didn't do the normal way. So yeah, there's a
Mhm.
hundred ways to do it. Well, cool. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for
Where
having
can
me.
everybody
This was
find and
fun.
stalk you?
You can find me on Instagram at Juicy Gina.
And she's gonna
It's
be
Gina with
posting
an E
clips all the time. No.
every day. Kim is my manager now.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, so on Instagram, and it's the same for Twitter if you have Twitter, and my website is linked to my Insta, and you can check out when I have shows coming up. I have a lot of out of town shows this year, so
Oh yeah, you're going on tour. So
mhm.
Gina with an E, Juicy Gina.
Mhm.
Spell your name for people because people like me won't know how to spell it.
Oh, yeah,
Like, let's be
Gena.
real. If the audience is as educated as I am, you're gonna want to spell it for them.
Mhm. Yep, Gena, that's me.
Perfect.
Gena B
All right.
Jones.
Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.